honestly can't believe that we've just managed to put the tent up in complete sun. Look at that sky. Oh, so we're going to do very little this Friday night. We're just going to chill out. The tent is up, the chairs are out, I'm going to have a cup of tea, got a bottle of red wine, and we're just going to relax now. Sod's acting like a farmer. Is that for the fire? He's on fire duty today. So we've got the workings of a little fire down here. We've got tons of wood, so we're going to burn it all. Obviously we're not burning the wood up at the pond site because it's been left there and hedgehogs and things could have crawled into it, so we're bringing it down. But for this evening we're just going to relax. There's a little dog rose over there, just that tiny little white dot. And I might do a little bit of swimming tomorrow morning when I get up, but for now I'm just going to chill out. We're just walking up to the pond, and I just thought last time we were here obviously we parked over there and this oak looked like it had died, but you can see now that it's full in leaf, so I don't know why this oak and this oak were out and this oak wasn't, so I don't know what held that oak tree back, but you can see now it's obviously in full leaf. And we're just walking up here, so this is where we've been doing our pond work, and you can kind of see in the middle just behind where Bo is that single stem going up, and that is the hawthorn that we cut out. The field has been mowed, and you can see obviously where it hasn't been mowed with all these buttercups still standing up around the brush. We're just coming up to get some wood for our bonfire tonight and to just check in at the pond, and you can see the amount of work I've got to do. I've still got to clear all of this. And it's made harder now obviously as well because now it's in leaf, so it's harder to deal with. The dogs are just getting too excited. But yeah, so you can see the buttercups here are longer where we haven't been thinged, and also it was last year the orchids were here. Now I don't see any sign of the orchids yet, but the orchids were around this area, so let's go and look at the pond. It's grown up a lot. And here we go, so okay, this is good. So this is why I planted the plants here, because this is a marginal area, and as you can see already the amount of water has obviously receded, but it doesn't matter because these are all marginal plants. So we've got the yellow flag iris, we've got the water forget-me-not, which now, as you can see, is in flower and looks like a forget-me-not. So the forget-me-nots you're kind of used to seeing with the blue and pinkish flowers, and the dogs just walk straight over the top, and it's kind of split into two pieces, and it's already, I am soaked now, you can see it's already made all these little runners with all these extra little roots, so it's starting to just thrive, so that's really good. Water planting looks great, and then our water mint over there, and again you can see on the water mint already tons and tons and tons of root where it's going to start growing into the water beds. You can also see that the water is mega clear at the moment, so that's nice. So we'll do some more pond project work tomorrow, and we can finally, I think, take this nest out, because let's go and just have a look. Sard did say he came up here earlier, and the eggs, yes, so you can now see that is empty. So any eggs in there have hatched or been taken by magpies or whatever. If they didn't hatch, so we can now pull this tree back out. And then you can see here obviously where it's grown up, and actually it's quite pretty, where we've cut all of it back, and now you've just got these little, all of these little suckers coming out. It's quite nice actually. So yeah, so that is the farm so far. Well, amongst all these buttercups, I was walking through and suddenly there was a flash of pink, and I found it. So one of our orchids. So this is up by the pond site, and I cannot remember the name of this orchid. I did look them up last year when I first discovered them, but isn't that pretty? No, normally, obviously, it's on an upright stem, but we've caught it right at the beginning. So obviously all of these flowers are yet to open near the top, and that will straighten up and it will just turn into this sort of candelabra of flowers. It's absolutely stunning. Look at that. So as we go around, I'll see if there's some more, but it's lovely to see. And I'm very, very glad that the our tenant farmer who has mown this field, sadly he's probably mown a few of them down, but obviously where we've dumped all of this from the pond, he's not cleared this bit out. And as I am speaking to you, I've just noticed another one. So here's another one. Oh, I'm so happy! This is so great. How beautiful. I mean, to be fair, in this evening light, the buttercups look blimmin' gorgeous as they're caught by the kind of the fleeting sun. But to see this little orchid in here as well is just rather splendid. What a great way to end the evening. We've found a new species! Now it's not anything terribly exciting, it's a newt. But I've never seen a newt. So this is the second amphibian we found on site. We had a frog, common frog, and now this looks like a common newt. It's a baby. Now I can't really put this back on top of it. So this was a big one of our seats, and I lifted it over to help put the tent in. And here is this little baby newt. But it's very, very cute, but I'm going to relocate it into the grass because I don't want to obviously squish it. Come on, little guy. It's a little, I'd say it's a couple of years old. There we go. This is Wildflower Meadow, so as you've seen before, it's pretty barren most of the year, but look now. Isn't that amazing? I love it. You can, I mean, the strip where we sowed is very obvious. We didn't sow here, we sowed here, we didn't sow there. So you can clearly see the strip where we sowed, but the beautiful thing is, it is starting to expand. So most of it is in here. You can see oxeye daisies, there's buttercups, there's some little ragwort in there, there's some campion around, some pink and white campion. But over here in the borders you can see there are little bits of oxeye daisies where they're moving this way. And then over there you can see there is the main boundary, but beyond you can see little clumps of white again where the oxeye daisies are continuing to go that way. So that was kind of the whole idea. We will be planting more wildflowers in the strips we haven't done. But just to start with, obviously this was crowdfunded, this strip here. And I'm going to walk around so you can kind of see it. And what is it, 3 years old now, I think? So it was crowdfunded, and we got all the seed, and then obviously with the help of friends and family we came up and sowed it. Oh, here's a little ragwort down here. Isn't it pretty? Very diminutive, quiet little flower, but when you get up and close, like a lot of plants, very pretty. And there we go. So you can see here, the dog is running through it, you can see clearly the strip that we've done, and then we walk this way, and you can see where it kind of ends. But this was a straight edge, and you can now see it's no longer a straight edge, it's starting to move across, which is just glorious, and it's doing what I wanted it to do. And you know, when you come up in the winter months, it can be very disappointing, really, and you feel like you're not getting anywhere. But then when you come up at this time of year, May, June, July, and you see this, you think, wow, we're doing a good job. And I'm going to say, I always say this, but I'm doing a good job because partly down to you guys, because you give me the encouragement to keep going. And my patrons obviously give me a little bit of cash to buy seeds, and so it's kind of a combined thing. Me and Sad have the land and we're the driving force behind it, but you guys are the ones that keep encouraging me and inspiring me to keep going. And one day I hope that when we are living here we can have a big meetup and I can show you guys everything that you've helped to achieve. But I'm now going to try and retrieve the dog. She's somewhere over there. I don't want her chasing a deer into the wood at this time of night because I would never get her out. So I was talking to my niece today and she didn't know what this was. And if you don't know, it's actually the sort of protection for leafhoppers. So if you look inside of these, if we can find it, there should be, there it is. Now there's a couple of them. So these guys are, are juvenile leafhoppers. There you go, and they produce a foam to protect themselves. There's actually 3 there. You can just about see that, there they go. So they turn into those cute little leafhoppers. And they produce this foam to protect themselves. You can see he's trying to hide away in it. And then obviously when they become adults they become hard and they jump around. So if you've ever seen that on plants, that's what that is. I'll put these back now so they're nice and safe again. If you look carefully up there, you can see that the rooks are circling, ready for bed in their rookery, and they're actually just above our camping spot. So today has been actually a really nice day and I've got quite sunburnt, but I've also done quite a lot of scything, as you can see. So I've scythed all of this back. So obviously 2 years ago, if you remember, this was all brambles. So basically this was our first ever campsite. So from about here all the way back there was thick in brambles. So I've largely eradicated those brambles now just by constantly cutting them back. I didn't actually dig out any of the parent plants. I just cut them right back to the soil, and then every time they send up new runners they get cut off. So what has happened now, there's no bramble cover, obviously other plants have started to colonise. So we've got burdock, there's nettles, there's thistles, there's lots of teasels, which is really nice. There's some wildflowers, so there's a lovely little white campion here which has started, so I haven't obviously scythed that bit down, and there's some plantain as well, which is nice. And there's some lovely flowering grasses, which again I think are very pretty, so I tend to leave them. So as I just said, I have left this patch because I do like teasels and I didn't want to kill all those teasels off. So I'm going to leave this patch, but the rest of the day I have spent scything and cutting as much of this back as I can. I obviously can't go right down the edge, and our eventual fence is going to be along here just before it starts to tilt over. And also I haven't cleared because there really is no point. Now if this was a wildflower meadow I would clear it, because you ideally would want this soil to be as infertile as possible, because that's what wildflowers love. However, I don't mind about this soil being fertile, so this stuff can all stay on the soil and it can just mulch down and create new habitat for all the creatures living underneath it and stuff. And then come next year, well come the winter, I'm going to get loads of old carpet hopefully and cover it over. It will rot down underneath, turn to soil, and then we can hopefully stop some of this stuff coming up. So I don't need to trim it all off and collect it up and burn it or bag it or anything like that. So it makes my life a little bit easier. You can see the extent though, the amount of stuff that has come. And some of this burdock is huge. I mean, these leaves are massive. I mean, look at that. And that's not even one of the biggest ones. So that's kind of what I've been doing today. Just strimming, clearing all of this out. I'm scything. Actually, scything works better than strimming really on all of this thick stuff. There's a lovely little dogwood that I wanted to take you to over here, a dogwood rose. Look at that, a little wild rose there. It's rather lovely. And then there's some elderflower as well. So tomorrow before we leave, we'll be collecting a load of elderflower so I can take some home for cordial. But now I've got to go up to the back meadow to collect some wood for tonight's bonfire. So it's Sunday morning and alas, soon we have to leave the site. But I've been for a walk this morning and Beetle found something rather special. Now some of you might think this is a bit gross, but I think it's kind of cool. It's a muntjac deer head. So obviously I've seen muntjacs here before, we know we have them. But this is just another sign obviously that they are around. And you can see that it's very dead. It's been dead a while. This is its orbital socket and its nasal cavity. Muntjacs have these two little horns, as you can see here. They don't really grow antlers, they just have the horns like that. And then you can see they also have this really long tooth at the front, which obviously when they have the bottom of their mouth, it just juts out underneath their lip. But it's pretty cool just to show that we've got muntjac on site. Let's hope this wasn't the only one, because we won't have muntjac on site, but no, it's not the only one. But that's a cool start to the day. We are going to start packing up soon, but also just do a little bit of work around the farm before we leave. So just before we leave, I've just popped up to the pond one more time because last night there were baby moorhens scooting around here. Now they aren't there today. They're obviously herby coming or they're resting up somewhere. But what I thought I would show you is just these brambles. So this bramble thicket used to be like this. And so far I've cut back this amount. And I haven't dug out the parent plants. And you can see this is what happens. So you dig it all out and then you get all of these little bits growths coming. So basically they were just chopped back to the floor. Now, I haven't got time to dig all of these out, and I would say if you've got a big patch of brambles that you're not necessarily growing anything in, you're just clearing, don't worry about digging all of these out. Just when you get these new shoots, clip it, clip it, clip it. Keep it really cut down tight to the floor and you'll weaken the bramble and eventually it will die. And that's what's happened over with where the pit where we camp. The bramble has become very, very weakened and it just makes clearing it so much easier. So you can see how big this thicket is, but this was exactly the same. And now we've just got a couple of plants, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, maybe 10 plants. And it just means that every time we come up, we can clip these back close to the ground again and it'll stop them taking over and it's so much easier to manage. Obviously, if you've got goats, just put your goats on it, but we don't have goats and we can't put goats up here at the moment. The field is looking magnificent. It has been mowed again, but you can see all the grasses and buttercups are coming through. So thank you as always for watching the farm vlog and for all your support. We are sadly, got something in my eye. we're sadly going to have to head home now to the urban smallholding. But thank you for coming along the ride. If you are on Facebook, please look up Brimwood Farm's community group and come and join us. Like and subscribe to the video if you've enjoyed it, and I will no doubt see you very soon. Bye bye.